Hello, beautiful, beautiful black people. I hope that all is well in your world. And this day is progressing very, 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 very well for you and all of your wonderful, wonderful black loved ones. All of your wonderful black loved ones. What does it mean? The question is, what does it mean to celebrate the independence of a country / a plantation with a colonialist heritage? Those white folks were colonizers, period, unequivocally. What does it mean to celebrate a country where flags and statues of perpetrators of white supremacy sit comfortably on stolen land? What is there to celebrate in this moment of widespread state-sanctioned violence, and as our so-called government continues to fail to respond to the COVID-19 pandemic and protect all of its people? So today, I would say, fuck the 4th of July. So today, I would say, fuck the 4th of July. Because there does not seem to be anything worth celebrating on this day, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. There's a reckoning unfolding in plain sight before us against all of the foundational racist institutions, all of the systemic racism, all of the historically oppressed people, black folks, and people of color. Also, people from marginalized backgrounds. We should be more direct in demanding change. Demanding change where we see change is needed. And for those white-owned, white-controlled racist media organizations, it starts with recognizing and being vocal about the ways that the white-controlled, white-owned racist media have been complicit, is now complicit for its significant part in all of this, in all of it. These white-controlled media organizations, they keep relying on sources of information and resources from these institutions that are endemic with institutional racism, that are endemic with systemic racism, like the police, law enforcement agencies. And this data that the white racist control media get from these law enforcement organizations becomes propaganda for the state. It becomes propaganda for the state. And for how many years have idiots like Donald Trump manipulated the white-owned, white-controlled, racist mass media for the coverage that will benefit him the most? He is in power partly due to the white racist control mass media. Donald Trump is in power today partly due to the complicity of the white racist control mass media. And it will continue as long as this white racist control mainstream media continue to play into Donald Trump's tactics, the Republican Party's tactics, instead of illustrated to us, to the rest of us, where change is needed. It would have a very different look if the mass media was a mouthpiece for power, for empowering in the rest of us. So I would say for today, fuck the 4th of July. I would say for today, fuck the 4th of July. On June 19th, 1865, the news of emancipation finally reached Galveston, Texas. On that day, the crack of the master's whip, the crack of the master's whip, the crack of the master's whip would no longer be sanctioned by the laws of these United States, exercising the powers vested in him by President Lincoln. Major General Gordon Granger, that was his name, along with more than 1,800 federal troops, marched into Galveston, Texas, to announce the General's Order Number 3. Address the people of Texas. The order set out for Granger's task to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. It was nearly 2 months after the end of the Civil War when freedom for the remaining enslaved black folks in the deepest part of the South and the United States more generally, it was still part of the United States, was confirmed. In plain language, the General Granger, read the order to the now freed black folks. in accordance with a proclamation from the executive of the United States. All slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. That's what General Granger read. Thus, a full 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued, freedom for black folks in the farthest corners of the American slave empire was conferred to approximately 250,000 enslaved black men, women, and children in Texas who had been unaware of their already existing freedom. And then 6 months later, in December of 1865, the 13th Amendment was ratified. Juneteenth is reasonably one of the most important, if not the most significant, date on the American calendar for black folks, people that look like me. Fuck the 4th of July. Fuck the 4th of July. But shortly following it on the calendar, shortly following Juneteenth on the calendar, is its counterpart. 13 years before the first Juneteenth, Frederick Douglass, remember that name. Read his books. Read his biography. Read about him. Although he left his beautiful black wife and family and married a white woman. He did that. That's in his biography, I believe. Frederick Douglass delivered. It's a very famous speech, and it was entitled, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July?" You need to read that. What to the slave is the 4th of July? The speech proved remarkably Frederick Douglass, he lamented the impossibilities of freedom before emancipation. The 4th of July was primarily a white folks' birthday. The freedom gained is yours, white folks. Fuck the 4th of July. The freedom gained is yours, was yours, still is yours. Fuck the 4th of July. And you, white folks, therefore, may properly celebrate this anniversary. The 4th of July is the first great fact in your nation's history. This is what Frederick Douglass said. This is what Frederick Douglass said in his speech entitled, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July?" He also said, oppression. And he quoted from Ecclesiastes. He quoted from Ecclesiastes. Oppression makes a wise man mad. And it does. Oppression makes a wise man mad. And for this reason, Frederick Douglass said, he understood the significance of the 4th of July for white folks. The founding fathers, white folks, he argued. The founding fathers, white folks, he argued. The founding fathers, white folks, he argued. Were wise men for rebelling and overthrowing the yoke, Y-O-K-E, of British colonization. And if they did not go mad, they became resistive under this treatment. In 2020, in July of 2020, after black folks have commemorated the 155th Juneteenth, it bears remarking that the nation's continued degradation, denigration of black humanity has driven black folks, people that look like me, mad enough, angry enough to ignite yet again another rebellion. In its wake, the 4th of July arrives with an indignity that to some may have hitherto gone unnoticed. It is a rebellion. The rebellion began on another national holiday called Memorial Day, May 25th, as thousands of black folks are dying from the COVID-19 disease. White racist cops are profiling, assaulting, and publicly lynching black folks like George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks, Sandra Bland, etc., etc. Fuck the 4th of July. Fuck the 4th of July. In one of the more symbolic shows of force yet, the rebellion, the resistance, the protest has offended the racist attitudes, the racist sensibilities of Trump, the Republican Party, the 63 million racist Trump supporters. Trump now threatens to unleash the Slavery Era Insurrection Act of 1807 to take control, to use the military to put down resistance, use the military to put down the protests, use the military to kill American citizens, use the military and the Department of Justice to indict and incarcerate peaceful protesters. As the late historian, his name was Ira Berlin, I believe, argued, the long history of the black freedom struggle against white supremacy was at every turn a very bloody effort against the tradition of anti-black violence. Slavery everywhere had begun in violence. Slavery rested on violence. Slavery existed on violence. And slavery always ended in violence. It always does. It always does. The hypocrisy of American racism was ritualized. It's been ritualized into a national holiday year after year. Fuck the 4th of July. Black folks were invited to the grand illuminated temple of liberty. Fuck the 4th of July. And called to join in its joyous national anthem of freedom that served to remind them of the sad sense of the disparities between us and those white folks. The majority of white folks ignored the fact of the inhuman mockery and that ridiculous irony encoded in the symbolism of the 4th of July for black folks. Fuck the 4th of July. It is the 4th of July for white folks, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. Just a few words of wisdom, a few lines of history, trying to educate, motivate, inspire black folks, people that look like me, as to who and what the 4th of July is really for and what it really means. And know this, here at the Thrasher Way, we do not hate white folks. We never have, and we never will. Rather, we are on a mission because we have a duty to liberate the minds of black folks. Right here in America and globally, we intend to play a part in liberating the minds of black folks. And to do that, we have to espouse truths about white folks. And that's what we do. We espouse truths about white folks. We espouse truths about black folks. We espouse truths about brown folks. We espouse truths about green folks. We espouse truths about any folks. And we espouse truths about all things. We do not hate white folks. Rather, we are on a mission because we have a duty to liberate the minds of black folks. Unequivocally, my beautiful, intelligent black brothers and sisters. That's all I have on this one.